we have your weekend Apple news. Welcome back to the channel. It's the weekend again, and you know what we do on the weekends? We go through the Apple news. We're going to go through about 20 or 25 different Apple-related news stories. I'm going to go through some tech sales as well. It's the weekend. We have some fun. I usually have a beer. Anyway, sit back and relax. Let's get into the Apple news. I hope everyone's having a great weekend. All right, story number one. So Apple actually accidentally leaked a whole bunch of information on some new products coming out. So what do we have in the lineup? Right here on Mac Rumors, here it is right here. It says, every Apple secret that leaked yesterday. Apple made a major slip Wednesday when it accidentally included hardware identifiers and software code linking to numerous unaccounted products. So what are these products? This is the key here. Some are way more important than others too. So over here, number one is going to be the new HomePod Mini with updated chip, new model with the S series processor. That's the first one. I'm not going to get into too much details. A brand new HomePod Mini. Again, that's not the biggest one on this list for sure, but it should be coming in the next 1 to 3 months. That's our estimate on that. The next one over here is a little bit more important. The new Apple TV with the A17 Pro chip. See right there? Substantial upgrade from the A15 Bionic. New Apple TV coming later this year with the A17 Pro chip. Rumors suggest that Apple is working on an updated version of the Apple TV that's slated for launch later this year. That's the key there. It's going to be, again, 1 to 3 months from now. This should launch as well. And you can see in here, it's got this little camera in here. This is a little unusual here because of the fact that you guys want to post in the comments. Do you guys actually want a camera facing you while you're watching TV or watching your, of course, it's going to be facing you. Do you want that on any of devices like this? I mean, I think Apple's going to be doing hand motions, especially like kind of like the Vision Pro. If you want to change channels and stuff, it's going to be to your hands. That's what I'm guessing. Also, you know, they're going to be doing AI stuff in there as well. But do you always want that camera watching you? I don't know if that's a good idea or not. The other thing to talk about is the A17 Pro chip. It's basically a 2-generation jump, so maybe 30 to 40% faster than the A15. That's pretty good considering the A15 can handle 4K perfectly right now. So I think we're on par with everything there. So I think that's going to be a good increase, but let's just keep moving to some more important products. The next one over here is the Apple Studio Display 2, next-gen Apple monitor with the J427 code name. You can see it right in here. So the Studio Display's got something coming as well. Now, a lot of people were worried, is this going to be coming? Is this not coming? Well, let's take a look over here for Mac Rumors. It says A19 Pro chip coming to the Studio Display 2. That's pretty crazy. So it says Apple's next generation Studio Display will contain an A19 Pro chip, according to code reviewed by Mac Rumors. And obviously, this is the current one. We don't know what it's going to look like yet. But it says, yesterday, signs of the second generation Studio Display with the code name J427 were spotted in Apple's code. So we know this is kind of not just something that's made up. It's not a rumor. It's actually in Apple's code. Now it has emerged that the device will contain an as-yet released A19 Pro chip, which is going to be basically shipping in the iPhone Pro models of the iPhone 17s. So it's going to be a fairly fast chip, all right? And that's got everyone thinking, like, what is this chip for? Why do we need a chip that's an A19 chip in a monitor? Does it make any sense to you? We've been talking about, what is it, the A18 Pro that's going to go in that little cheap MacBook we were talking about, the one I keep showing you. I'll show you a picture over here. So if it can run that MacBook, why do we need one in a screen like this? It makes little to no sense to me, I guess. But we'll talk about it. I think, you know, and I wish it was because it was going to be an iMac, but that wouldn't be a fast enough chip. If it was going to be an iMac, it should be obviously the M5 or the, M5 Max or whatever you want to call it, M5 Pro. So it's not going to be that, but what could it be? It goes on to say that this chip is noteworthy, not just because it's currently unreleased, again, this is kind of what I said, but also because it seems overpowered for what you might expect from an external monitor. All right. I mean, the first gen only has an A13 Bionic, and we're going to be going up to the A19, basically A19 Pro chip. That doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So it says, on that note, the next base model iPad is reportedly getting an A18 chip, so it's going to be basically faster than that as well. So maybe some version of Apple Intelligence will be supported on the new Studio Display here, such as the rumored Siri overhaul coming next spring. What do you make on the Studio Display having this super powerful chip? That's what we want to discuss here. Now, I kind of went down. I mean, it's just kind of funny. Like, you kind of go through all the comments down here, and people are always talking. As this guy says, with that power, maybe we'll be lucky to see a 6 to 8K resolution with their ProMotion technology up to 240 to 480 hertz. I don't see them doing that, but I guess it's possible. You never know, right? This guy says, yes, I saw that too. It's a glazed jalapeno mustard chip, very powerful and surprising. But of course, it's for a monitor. This guy says, I like to see the new Studio Display can be used with the Apple Home Hub since it's something to be plugged in 24/7. You get all these ideas. So people start thinking about what this is. But realistically, and you tell me, all we want is a monitor, right? We just want a good monitor and that's it. That's the most important thing. And we want it at a price we can all afford. Okay, a couple more things on the list here. We're also going to be getting a new iPad mini with an A19 Pro chip using the same processor as the iPhone 17 Pro models. Take a look at that. That's pretty crazy, right? Let's look at the article here. iPad mini, this is from Apple Insider, rumored to feature an OLED. This is the big key here, and an A19 Pro, an OLED too for the mini. Can you believe that? Let's kind of scroll down here and look at this. It's got a rumor score really, really high. I don't know if I believe this that much, but there it is. Apple's future iPad mini is expected to release in 2026 at its earliest. So that's a little bit off, obviously, and it may have an A19 Pro and an OLED display. There's been some demand, at least for among Apple Power users, that Apple's iPad mini sports the Pro level specs. But what is that going to do for the actual Pros then, as far as the iPad Pros and stuff? I mean, the size difference is extreme, so I don't think people that want a big screen will be buying the mini. But overall, it looks like it's codenamed in here and everything, and it's been leaked, so I think this is coming. We just don't know about the OLED. That's the only thing, but I think the chip is likely. Very, very high rumored here. So let's just wait for that and see what happens. What else do we have here? Then we got the other thing that got leaked here was the new low-cost iPad with the A18 chip expected to launch in the spring. Now, I talked about that before. All of their cheaper products, Apple's products, are going to launch somewhere in the spring altogether, like the phone, this cheap iPad, maybe the cheap MacBook. So all that stuff's coming. But let's take a see if we have any more information on it over here. Okay, Mac Rumors, it says Apple leak confirms A18 chip for next low-cost iPad model. Apple's developing a new low-cost iPad powered by the A18 chip, according to code references accidentally disclosed by the company yesterday. So the finding builds on previous reports by Bloomberg that indicated plans to launch a 12th generation entry-level iPad, again, in the spring of 2026. So, I mean, it's going to be, they think, $349 roughly. The A16 chip is what shipped in the last version, the 11th gen. So can you imagine going from the A16 here to the A18? It's going to be roughly the same cost, and we're going to have all those new features that are built into the iPads. Why would you want to buy anything faster than this, I think? I mean, if you already have a MacBook or something, this is like the perfect device now. I actually have the one somewhere in my room here, but I have the 11th gen, and it's super fast. It's fast enough for everything. If they give it just a little bit more RAM, it's going to be perfect. Let me know in the comments what you think. And then the last two things that leaked is the Apple Vision Pro with the M5 chip, second generation headset. We know that's coming with the M5. The only thing that's going to save that thing is if the cost plummets. We don't think it's going to do it this iteration because they're keeping almost everything the same. Updated strap maybe to take the pressure off your head, and that's about it with the chip. And the last thing here is the 2025 Apple Watch chip. And basically the new watches. They're going to be coming out with just a slightly faster processor, but not a lot of changes there overall. So overall, I think that's all we're going to be getting here. These are all the ones that leaked. You guys tell me what you think. Okay, now we got a couple different sales here that I found online. You guys tell me if you think these are good or not. I think some are, some maybe not. They're kind of in between. It is becoming harder and harder to actually find these sales for you. So let me know in the comments. Do you guys think these are okay? The next one over here is from Woot. Believe it or not, I believe Amazon owns this company. It says it right there, right? But here we go. So tell me if you think this is an okay deal. This is going to be obviously the Mac Mini, the M2 version, but with 16 gigs, not just 8, 16 gigs and 256. And it's only $359 right now from Woot. Now, I think that's a great computer, right? I think the M2 with 16 gigs of RAM is going to be plenty fast for 90%. I keep saying 90% because 90% of the masses are not doing video editing. 90% aren't doing music production. You get like 10 or 15% of people that actually do that, and they're probably the ones watching my video. But still, this is a great home computer for a kid doing homework and stuff like that with the M2 chip for $359. I know it's sometimes hard because the M4 goes on sale so well, sometimes $499 and stuff. So it's a tough one. It's a really tough call there, but I think that's a good deal. You guys tell me. Okay, I tried to find some different stuff this week, just some cheaper stuff to help people out, obviously, not just all computers. I thought this was kind of a good deal over here. All right, this one's the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming Backpack. It's a large 16-inch backpack here, 4.8 out of 5. It's $19.42. Look at this, 35% off. That's a pretty good deal there. Now, the reason I love this thing is just for a backpack. It's from Lenovo. It says iPad. What is this? IdeaPad Gaming, but it's a Lenovo, so it's kind of a name brand. I like the white color here. It looks really really classy, I guess is the way to put it here. Obviously, I'm going to show you some other pictures in here, but for $19, here's the straps in the back. It looks very well made. Obviously, people love it. And it's got like a pouch where you can put in something this way, and you can also throw it in the top of it up here. It's got kind of a blue inside here. Overall, I think the design is really, really cool. And they kind of claim it's making gaming eco-friendly. Do your part for the environment by choosing a backpack that recycles up to 3 500-millimeter plastic bottles, so it's made out of that. And it's basically water resistant and ultra durable. So you roll kind of the top so no water can get in it up here, so it's not going to affect your MacBook or anything that you you put in there. I thought that was a pretty good deal for, what is it, 20 bucks? I guess the black's $19.42 and the white is $21. So let's keep moving here. So the next one over here is going to be another cheap device. If you're just looking for an external, external SSD enclosure, you don't need Thunderbolt 4, you don't need Thunderbolt 5. You want something ultra cheap that's going to work. I think this is a good one over here. This is the Oracle M2 NVMe SATA SSD enclosure adapter. And you can see here, it's full aluminum. That's the thing here. And it's 30% off right now. So it's only $11. Look at that. I mean, it's usually only $16, right? But you can go ahead and throw in, it's a 10 gigabit per second enclosure. So you can go ahead and throw in your M.2 drives in here. But full, obviously, aluminum in here. And it does come with this kind of a thermal, they call it like a thermal pad or something, obviously this one. But this plate here as well. So it's going to basically be, your SSD will go in here, and then you put the thermal pad on top of it. So it helps a little bit with cooling because it's just introducing some more metal in there where it can move some of the heat away from the M.2 drive. But for 11 bucks, I said, hey, that you can't go wrong with that, right? I think 11 bucks is a good price. All right, a couple computers here, then we're going to get back to the news. This one over here, this is the Apple, obviously, M4 here. What do we have here? Let me see if I can find it. 14-inch here. This is 24 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, 15% off, so it's $16.99 right now on Amazon. Again, I think this is the lowest we've seen it. It might have gotten down to $16.59 once, but this thing is $300 off right now, and you are getting the M4 chip. So it's not the M4 Pro chip, mind you, but you are getting a lot of upgrades here. 24 gigs of RAM, that's an upgrade, and a 1 terabyte SSD, so you're going obviously pretty big there, and you can't complain for $16.99. I think that's a great deal for a lot of people. I think that's a computer that if you want a little bit better screen, you want all the ports and everything, you can't go wrong. And the M4 chip is just fast enough. You don't need the M4 Pro in a lot of cases. But if you do want the M4 Pro chip, here's one right here. This is the 2024 M4 Pro chip. This is going to be 14-inch. Same thing, 24 gigs, 1 terabyte. So we're up to $2,099. This is almost $300 off there. Pretty good price there. But if you compare the two, if I go back to the other one, see that $16.99? The only difference here between the RAM and the SSD is going to just be that Pro chip. So you're spending $400 more. And you just have to make sure that's worth it to you, because in a lot of cases, it's not going to be for most people out there. Just go with the M4 chip and save the money. But if you need it, here it is for $2,099. I think it's a good deal. Okay, this next one's actually a really funny story, and it's funny, and I think it's a little sad too, because you can imagine someone doing this right now, and I can't imagine myself, but you'll get the idea right here in a second. Look at this, Apple Insider. You had mail instead of you've got mail. AOL finally discontinues dial-up internet service. Can you believe this? More than 40 years after starting a very early Apple service, AOL has finally ended its dial-up internet service, shuttering a service that helped usher in the internet age to tens of millions of people. Remember You've Got Mail from AOL? I don't know how many people are watching. I mean, I have an older channel, so probably a lot of people remember this. If you look over here, remember these CDs they would send you every single day, and you're supposed to go ahead and throw them in? I mean, every single day in the mail, you get these things. You have to kind of keep just throwing them out, or you'd use them as frisbees for your dog or something. You'd never actually use them because you already had it on your computer. And then you'd go in there, and it would take 20 minutes to download a picture. You'd be sitting there waiting for it to come up, and you shouldn't be looking at that stuff. Anyways, you get the idea, right? And that's what it's all about. But now people are still using it in this day and age. So, I mean, if people are still using it out there, if you've used it within the last year, post in the comments, and I'll refrain from from teasing you. But I don't think you should be using that in this day and age, right? We're well past that. But 40 years on, people were still using it. And what are you going to say? I guess if it works, why not? But at the end of the day, I'm sure it didn't. Let's keep moving. Okay, this next article is a little bit weird, and let's kind of go through it together over here. Mac Rumors. It says, report, Siri to get new design on iPhone and iPad as early as next year. It is well known by now that Apple plans to launch its more personalized version of Siri next year. Are you sure, Apple? And then it goes on to say, but apparently the company has even bigger plans, and we can kind of see a picture of Siri in here. I mean, what does it look like? It looks like just a couple colors, right? I mean, how hard is it to design? I could design that in a week, in 2 days, right? 1 day. Then it says over here, Bloomberg Mark Gurman on Wednesday reported that Apple's preparing a visually redesigned version of Siri that would debut on the iPhone and iPad as early as next year. However, he did not provide any specific details. So what good is this, right? We don't know that. But he does say a couple things. Gurman said that Apple's planning a tabletop robot for release in 2027. Believe that or not, and we'll talk about that in a second. On the device, he said that Apple has tested making Siri look like an animated version of the Mac's folder logo. Can you imagine that? So, animated folder logo? I don't think that's going to be a good thing for Siri. But he also said the company was considering ideas that look more like the Memoji or Memoji. I don't know how to say that, but it's basically that's kind of yourself and kind of your own avatar. It is unclear if Siri would get a lifelike avatar on the iPhone and iPad too. So you can see it there. Apple already designed Siri last year, but only on the iPhone and the iPad models. So long story short, it looks like they're going to be doing not only the Apple Intelligence, revising everything, but the incomplete design of it's going to be changing. Everything around it's going to be changing. So we're going to have to wait and see. And we're going to talk about that robot in a couple of minutes here. But overall, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that it's going to be coming out next year? When do you think it'll be coming out next year? My guess is it's got to come out by, I believe, the middle of next year, right? If they wait until the end of next year, they're going to be so far behind, it's going to be hard to catch up. I think it has to come out, I'm just going to say the beginning to the middle of next year, or they're in some trouble. Okay, this next one's actually, we've been waiting for this for a while, and it looks like it's official now. So, and in fact, it came from Apple, right over here, Mac Rumors. Blood oxygen feature finally returning to Apple Watch in the US. Apple today, so they announced it themselves, announced that the blood oxygen monitoring will return to Apple Watch models in the United States via a software update. Look at that. Apple said that its blood oxygen monitoring feature has been redesigned for the Apple Watch 9 series and Apple Watch Series 10 and Apple Watch Ultra 2 in the United States. I'm guessing all the new ones as well. The new solution involves measuring sensor data from the blood oxygen app on the Apple Watch and then sending it to the calculation that is paired to an iPhone, basically, with the results to be viewable in the respiratory section of the Health app. So the way they got around this, they were getting sued by a company. It looks like they're going to be using the iPhone, so they're going to be sending the data to the iPhone where the iPhone calculates all this stuff out. And so it looks like it's going to be a feature here in the next iOS 8 update and stuff when the watches. It's going to kind of update those older watches. So even if you have an older watch, it's going to be coming back here. I think that's pretty cool. We'll see if the lawsuit continues. I know that company spent like hundreds of millions of dollars suing Apple. So if they just went around them like this, it's going to kind of, I'm guessing they're going to still fight it and we're going to see what happens. So maybe don't get your hopes up too much. But as of right now, Apple's saying it's coming out, and they're probably pretty sure that they've kind of skirted the legal issue. So we'll see what happens. Okay, this next one actually is an interesting product. Now, I just saw it. I was reading through some articles here. I just wanted to kind of introduce it to you. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but if you're looking for something inexpensive, well, it's not inexpensive at all, but it's more inexpensive than the rest, right? That's the way to say it. 9 to 5 Mac. It says Thunderbolt 4 dock for Mac with dual 4K displays and 13 ports launches for under $200. This is from 9 to 5 Mac, like I mentioned. Let me just go to the Amazon page, though. So the reason I like this thing, here it is right here. It's from Pluggable. It's called a Thunderbolt 4 dock with M4 MacBook Air and Pro. I just threw that in there, I guess, because it works with it. But $199, and it's got a $40 coupon right now. Look at that. And the reason I like this thing is because of all the ports. Let me go ahead and click on this and this, and I'm going to go through them. So for less than $200, now this is only Thunderbolt 4, but it's still, most people don't need Thunderbolt 5. That's the key here. Most people don't even have that on their computer, and let alone any of the Macs. So if you want a Thunderbolt 4, we got the power, we got the two HDMI 2.0s, we got two USB 10 gigabit per second A's, one USB-C 10 gigabit per second right here. We got Ethernet gigabit per second. I wish that was 10, but it's only one. We got the audio in, the micro SD cards, that's a key there. Then two USB 5 gigabit per second ports, and then we get an extra Thunderbolt 4 port, up to, 15 watt charging, it looks like, and 8K 30 hertz, 40 gigabit per second though. And then we actually have the host port, and then we have the power button, and then we got a lock on the side. So you get all of that for less than $200. I think that's a fair deal. It's kind of new from Pluggable, so I'll have a link to it. Definitely check it out. I think, you don't really need to spend $400 on Thunderbolt 5, especially if you think you do. You just don't, unless you have a very, very specific reason, unless you know you do. I mean, maybe you're a professional that has all these different monitors you need set up and stuff, but this is going to be all you need. It's not cheap, but with $40 coupon, it's getting down there for some of the lowest we've seen. Okay, this next article here is kind of interesting because we just talked about this, I think, last week, and how Apple saw some competition and being Microsoft do this, and now they want to do it. It looks like it's coming now. Look over here, 9 to 5 Mac. Apple's first Mac with 5G cell might be coming sooner than we thought. So if you want to put like a cell card into your Mac, it's maybe possible with 5G. It says rumors have long indicated Apple intends to bring cell connectivity to the Mac, but a new report indicates the first cell Mac might be right around the corner and on the M5 MacBook Pro. That's the next one coming out. So as early as the end of this year or maybe even the very, very beginning of next year, it could be coming over there. Can you imagine that? So, in behind the scenes, we know Microsoft just launched it with one of their Surfaces, and they know Apple's right behind them. They're always second, and they always do it well, though. It says internal Apple code seen by Macworld now reveals that the company has indeed been testing an unreleased MacBook Pro model with an M5 Pro chip and Apple's first 5G modem here. So the Mac laptop found in the code is powered by the 5 M5 Pro chip, so maybe it's only on the M5 Pro, but not just the M5 chip, which indicates it's coming up in that model right there. It's going to have the first time it's going to be using the Centuria chip here, which is the code name for Apple's 5G modem that they're going to be coming out with, also known as a C1, but it's going to be an updated C1 if it's going to be going into the Mac Pro. I can guarantee you that over the one that's in the phone right now. So long story short, it's coming, I think, and it might be actually in the M5s. According to this report, you got to take it with a little bit of grain of salt, but at least this could be a huge feature. Maybe they'll put this in the next release to try to get people to jump up to the M5s, and then the M6s will come with like the OLEDs and all that stuff. But maybe they'll sneak this in just to try to get some suckers to buy it before the M6s come out. We'll see what happens. Who knows? Okay, I just thought this next one was kind of fun. So Apple Watches, they're obviously square. We all know that. Right over here, 9 to 5 Mac. Should we get the option of a round Apple Watch and more? So there's a poll here I'm going to show you. But take a look at this. What do you actually want? I want to hear what you guys say. Would you actually want a round Apple Watch as just an option? This guy says no. I get it. Round watches are very inefficient use of space. And there's likely a reason that the Apple Watch continues to dominate the market because he thinks because it's square. He doesn't think it's good. Now, this guy goes on to say that, he might wear for design reasons, a circular watch, but for what he does on the Apple Watch, it's just not a good thing to do, right? So I don't know about that. I mean, I think, again, would you want to give it the option of doing it? That's what we want to find out here. I'm not saying that it has to change to the circle, but would you want an option of it? Would you consider it if it was circle? I don't know. So down here it says, should the Apple Watch be offered in a range of different form factors, including a circular one? See that? So I'm going to say absolutely yes. I say why not, right? I mean, the more the merrier. Let's see what people say here. Take a look at this. I'm going to go in here. It's kind of surprising. Yes. So we got 33% say yes. Yes here is about 8%. But look at this. Unsure, 5%. But I think there's more that say no. If you add these two up and add these two up, no, preferably not. Like 21% and no, absolutely not, 29%. So obviously this is the highest. But if you add these two up with the yeses, it's way less than these two down here. And so it looks like no, people do not want it for some reason. And now again, why wouldn't they want it? We're not saying you would change to the circle. We would say give you the option of it. It makes no sense, right? Maybe people don't read exactly what they were asking there. I have no idea. You guys tell me. I mean, do you think it's just like, why wouldn't you want it? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. But the question is, would you actually use it? That was a different thing, right? And I think most people would want the square one. But just to have it as an option, I think we all want one, right? Thanks again for watching the channel. We got a couple more stories here. 9 to 5 Mac over here. It says 9 to 5 report Apple planning ecosystem of home security devices to compete with Ring and Nest. Can you believe that? Well, remember they bought a lot of those companies, so they're coming out with them sooner or later, as soon as they can make them their own. A new report from Bloomberg dives deep into Apple's plans to lean on artificial intelligence as ways to expand into robotics, home security, and smart displays. We know that. One interesting tidbit is the report that Apple is aiming to develop a system of smart home cameras and other home security products to compete with the likes of Amazon Ring brand. So take a look at that. They show the Ring camera there. Now, let's just look at some of the highlights. It says some highlights of the device. The device has facial recognition and infrared sensors to determine who is in the room. Apple believes the user will place cameras throughout their home to help them with automation. This could mean turning on lights when someone leaves the room or automatically playing music liked by a particular family member. And you can do all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of what they're envisioning. But again, they're envisioning money signs, right? Because if you're going to have cameras and sensors in all of your rooms, there you go. It's going to be expensive. Now, I would use it for the security. I have a number of security systems. Everyone does, I think, nowadays, if the price is right. And I think that's a great thing because then everything would be under one roof and you wouldn't have to be, these kind of rogue companies that they charge your credit card when they shouldn't and stuff. I'd rather be working with Apple and a lot of this stuff. But when they get into having like really intrusive stuff, like watching me in every single room, the music starts playing when you don't want it to play and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's a good idea either. I think there has to be kind of a they can't go nuts with it. I think people want a little bit more privacy. Anyways, you guys post in the comments what you think. But anyways, we're not going to stop it because it's coming out fast. And in the next, I think, 1 to 2 years, it's just going to be everywhere, I think. So we're going to give them about another 6 months, and we'll be doing a lot of videos on it. But toast in the comments, would you be on board for this? Would you be one of the first to buy it? Okay, this next one, we just got like a really, really quick sale here. So if you're looking for an inexpensive option on a phone or an iPhone, you don't have a lot of money, here's one from Amazon over here I found. It's refurbished, but it's from Amazon, but it's the Apple iPhone 14 Plus. So it's the bigger 14. Now we're only in the 16. 14 is not too bad. 128 gigs, $390. It's 23% off right now, so it's on sale. Usually $506. There's some colors down there, but they all differ a little bit in price by like 10 or $20. I think the white's the least expensive, but I think that's a good deal. $390 for an iPhone is roughly, not half the price of the iPhone SE. Now, granted, it is a little bit bigger. It's going to be the 14 Plus, and it does come obviously with a little bit slower chip for sure, but I think it's a good deal. You guys post in the comments if I found one there. I think people are going to argue with that. I think you always got to weigh the option of the newer chip versus the cheaper price. But if you don't have a lot of money, that'll still work for many years. It's a good phone, right? I think it is, as long as they give you a good one. All right, let's keep moving here. 9 to 5 Mac. It says iOS 26 will add 2 brand new apps to your iPhone's home screen. So when iOS 26 comes out, it's going to add 2 apps that you probably have never seen before. Now, when I saw this article, I was like, what are they? What are they? They're not that exciting, but at least you want to know they're coming. So let's kind of scroll down here. The very first one over here is going to be the number one is the Apple's Games app, all right? So gaming on the iPhone is getting a new central hub in iOS 26. Apple Games is a brand new app that joins other ranks of media-focused iPhone apps such as all these other ones. So obviously, instead of, just having it under your Play Store and stuff like that, all of your games are going to reside in one spot. All of downloading the games are going to be in one spot. So Apple's slowly increasing their gaming kind of footprint here. I think it's good news overall. It's just how fast they can do it. I mean, we're still really far behind Windows, but it's a step in the right direction. And can you guess the second one? You probably can't. It's not that exciting, but it's going to be useful right over here. Number 2, it's the Preview app, believe it or not. Preview might sound familiar. It's the name of Apple's long-term Mac utility for viewing and editing PDFs and images. In iOS 26, Preview is coming to the iPhone and iPad for the very first time. We knew it was coming obviously we knew it was going to come to the iPad, but you never really thought about it on the iPhone. So features include browsing PDFs and images, editing PDFs, document scanning, autofill, PDF autofill, creating new images. You get the idea. So all these things obviously are coming there, and it just makes sense. I mean, we all thought it was on the, when we heard it on the iPad, I never put 2 and 2 together and thought it was coming on the iPhone, but sure enough, it is. Okay, this next one I got to just take a little snicker at or laugh at because it doesn't make any sense to me. You guys tell me, is this even a viable product anymore right over here, 9 to 5 Mac? New Mac Pro could boast M4 Ultra chip per report, all right? So we know that the Studio came out with the M3 Ultra at the same time it came out with the M4 Max. That was really weird, wasn't it? It's always like a generation behind. So let's just take a look. It says Apple has long been rumored that a new Mac Pro is in development, and a new report suggests that it will come with a more powerful chip than we've seen, the M4 Ultra. So you answer this question. This is what I'm kind of scratching my head with, right? So next year when the M5s come out, I assume that the Studio would have come out with the M4 Ultra, right? But now they're going to be shipping it with the Mac Pro, it seems, at least this article. I mean, the article goes on to say, internal code published by Apple seen by Macworld confirms that Apple's still experimenting on this new high-end MacBook Pro here. They even have an identifier number down here and everything like that, so you can see it in here. So we think it's coming for, not coming, it's being tested for sure. But why wouldn't you just buy the Studio? I mean, the Studio is going to be like 1/3 the cost or half the cost. Again, I want people to post in the comments, why would you buy the Mac Pro over the Studio with the exact same chip? Why wouldn't they just keep it the Studio? The form factor is better. Now, again, I know you can put in specific cards in here, and it's got some other capabilities, but is anybody really using that out there? And are we just past the MacBook Pro's time? Should it be retired? I actually think it should, unless it comes out with a chip like the M5, whatever you want to call it, Fire. Let's call it Fire, M5 Fire. If that comes out with that chip, I want it. But if it comes out with the same chip as the Studio, I'm buying the Studio. Okay, this next one just kind of brings back memories to me a long time ago. If you love video games and you used to play like all the different video games and sports games like I used to, here's one you'll probably remember, and it's coming to the iPhone and the iPad, so keep in mind. And there's also one other game coming. It's right over here, though. Apple Insider. NFL Retro Bowl 26 rushes onto Apple's arcade on September 4th, all right? So remember that date there, September 4th. Right here, NFL Retro Bowl 26. So if you love football, you'll be glad to see that NFL Retro Bowl 26 is gearing up. So basically, this is kind of a remake of an older one. Obviously, this is the newer version of it. Let me go ahead and show you over here. It's kind of a game that's going to be really, if you remember these games back in the day, like if you played on the Nintendo and those type of computers and stuff like that, it's just so much fun because they're not as complicated as the games now where you have to do so many different tasks and stuff. It's just a couple buttons. It's almost like that little game that I have. Hold on one second. It's almost like this thing. Remember this thing right here? I don't know if you can see that. This is what I like, right? You sit there and you just actually have to run past the little red dots there. That's a cool product right there. So this thing over here, though, is really simple, and you can see it on the screen over here. So I would pick this up instantly, and it's going to be included with Apple Arcade if you want to know about that. And then the other game that's coming also around this date, and I think it's going to be a great, it's a fun game for your iPhone and stuff, is right here, Jeopardy Daily. So everyone's favorite trivia game show is headed to Apple Arcade. Jeopardy Daily features exclusive clues crafted by Jeopardy. Long story short, you have to answer all the questions. It says Alex Trebek. Obviously, I think he passed away, and he was a good guy. So there he is right there. Jeopardy, you get the idea. These other games coming out, these are all for kids and stuff. I'm not going to worry about those. But these two games I think are kind of useful, at least for me. So hopefully they are for you. Okay, this next one, remember we were talking about the robot earlier? This one's kind of a crazy story, so hear me out here. And I agree with what they're saying. 9 to 5 Mac, it says, reported plans for Apple's tabletop robot seem both excellent and awful. Excellent and awful, right? So it says yesterday's Bloomberg report that Apple's upcoming tabletop robot didn't reveal anything new about the hardware, but plans to give it a personality could represent a huge gamble. Okay, down here it says a tabletop robot that serves as a virtual companion targeted for 2027 is the centerpiece of the AI strategy, according to people with knowledge on the matter. Like a human head, it can turn towards the person and even seek to draw attention of someone not facing it. Now think about that for a second. So it can turn around even if it's not facing you and draw your attention. I mean, it says right here, the hallmark of the device is an entirely new version of the Siri voice assistant that can inject itself into conversations between multiple people. It will be able to engage with users throughout the day and more easily recall information. The idea is for the device to act like a person in a room and could interrupt a conversation between friends or family about dinner plans to suggest stuff. Are we getting way too far? I mean, think about this for a second. We're all sitting with our family. Finally, everyone's sitting around the table, and we're debating where we should go for dinner. Maybe tomorrow, maybe a pizza place. And then you got this stupid robot, an iPad head or whatever you want to call it, flip around and start talking and telling you where to go because Apple's getting paid by them. This is not a good idea. I think it's a terrible idea. Now, if you want to, if it's a device where you can talk to, we already have that. We already have an iPad, right? You can look at it. You can control it. I don't want something flipping out on me. You guys tell me. Maybe I'm old school, maybe I'm not, but what do you think about this? Is it exactly what they said? It's kind of a cool idea, but it's also terrifying, and I just don't want it. Okay, this next one I'm not going to spend too much time on, but I'll have a link to the video so you guys can watch it because it's kind of a fun video. This is what everyone kind of wants as well, but I don't think Apple's ever going to make. Apple Insider says iPad Pro and MacBook Air get mashed up into the MacBook Apple won't make. So this guy took a MacBook Air, I believe it's an M1, and then he took an iPad. See this over here? He took off the screen of the actual MacBook, and then he inserted this on here. I think he's using, AirPlay or something, and he's got basically, he did something behind the scenes so that the keyboard works with it and all that stuff. And now it's actually turned into like a device that everyone I think wants, right? So if you kind of scroll down here, here's the video. I'm not going to play it, but I'll put a link in there and you guys can go ahead and watch it. Is it a tablet? Is it a laptop? No, it's a Super Mac. So he found a way to do it. He takes it's basically a headless Mac. That's very common. You just take the screen off. But he basically kind of milled in something in here where this seeds into it. It'll actually fit right in that little hole there. So he can put his iPad in there. And I believe he uses like AirPlay to actually to move Mac OS onto there. And then he can yank it off and he can actually use it like an iPad, which is kind of crazy. How he did it, I don't know. It's all in there. And a lot of it's in Chinese, so be careful. You can look at the subtitles and stuff. But that's the product I think people want, right? But again, not so much me, because the reason I don't like that, I mean, I'm different, maybe I'm not. A lot of people say they want touch screens, and I just don't want a touch screen because I hate fingerprints on my screen. I love the device being clean like a MacBook, and then I also like my iPad where I'm going to have fingerprints on it, and I can choose between the two. I don't necessarily like just flip the screen around on a big MacBook and start using I just don't like doing that. So I don't know if I'm just kind of one of the rogue people out there, or do you guys feel the same way? But again, post in the comments which way you feel. I'm just interested in knowing. Maybe I'll figure out how to do polls on this channel. We'll do some polls on that because I'm really interested. Okay, we got another sale here. Now, again, I'm not affiliated with them. I talked about this maybe a couple months ago. It came back, and I really like this product over here. Take a look. This is the Nomad. It's called the Sports Band, but it's also a glow-in-the-dark sports band. It's an Apple Watch band for $59. It comes in a lot of colors down here, you can see, but this is the glow one. It comes in lunar gray, white. I mean, you can get orange, but the glow is the really cool one. You can see the color here. It's a very high-quality watch band by Nomad. And take a look. So when you're out, you charge it up. Let's say you're a runner or something. It'll actually light up on your wrist, and I think it's just a phenomenal product. Obviously, they make some cheap ones, but this is a really good one. So if you're like a runner or you do stuff at night, maybe you're walking the dog or something, this is perfect for it, right? And it's a good watch for $59, where Apple would probably charge you $99 for a watch, band like that. So overall, I just thought I'd give them a shout out, and hopefully one day they'll sponsor me or something. But as of today, they haven't. But still, check them out. Okay, we got a sale here now. If you take a look over here, I don't know, is this a good sale or not? This is the iPad Air here, 13-inch with the M2 chip, all right? Not even the M3, but the M2, 128 gigs, but this is the cell version of it, all right? And you can see here, it's usually $849. It's pretty good, $200 off, $649 right now, so 24% off, lowest price alert here. And it is only the M2 chip, but it does have the cell in it as well. It's not just Wi-Fi, and that's pretty cool for $649. I thought that was a pretty good deal. I'm always trying to find these deals. They get harder and harder every time I'm looking because I've done so many with you guys. Anyways, we're going to wrap this up now. Everyone, I hope everyone out there has a great weekend. And I'm just getting a little bit worn out because I do so many videos now, and I'm going to try to expand the show to do a little bit more with it in the near future here. I'm going to make them better. I'm going to have more time to do them. I'm going to try to get some editors and stuff like that. So stick with me. And I hope you guys like these on the weekend. Just trying to have some fun, but I want to make them more interesting. It's just that I have so many obligations during the week with my other videos that I can't put as much time into this one as I want to. But I will. I promise you that. Sooner or later it's coming, and there's going to be some changes. So stick with us here, and you'll be on on board to see what they are. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.